She screamed, but no one came to help. I remember that night like it was yesterday. I was staying with my grandmother in our village in Nigeria. Everyone knew about the old story of the disobedient daughter, but we never thought it would happen to us. It started when my cousin Ada refused to listen to her mother. Her mother warned her not to go to the old forest at night. Spirits roam there after dark, she said. But Ada didn't believe in spirits. She thought it was just a story to scare children. One evening, Ada sneaked out to the forest. She wanted to prove she wasn't afraid. I followed her, worried about what might happen. We walked in silence. The only sound was the rustling of leaves and the distant hoot of an owl. When we reached the forest, the moon was high in the sky, casting eerie shadows on the trees. Ada laughed and wandered deeper into the woods, mocking the spirits she didn't believe in. She called out to them, daring them to show themselves. But then, something changed. The air grew cold, and a thick fog rolled in. I felt a chill run down my spine. Ada stopped laughing and looked around, her eyes wide with fear. We heard whispers, soft and menacing, coming from the darkness. It was like the trees themselves were speaking to us, warning us to leave. Suddenly, a figure emerged from the mist. It was an old woman, her eyes glowing in the dark. She wore tattered clothes and carried a staff made from a twisted branch. She pointed a bony finger at Ada and said, "You have disobeyed. Now you must pay the price." Ada screamed and tried to run, but it was like the fog had turned to glue, holding her in place. The old woman reached out and touched Ada's forehead. Ada collapsed, her eyes rolling back into her head. I was frozen with fear, unable to move or scream. The old woman turned her glowing eyes toward me, and I felt a wave of cold wash over me. "Remember this night," she said, her voice echoing through the trees. "Obedience is not a choice, it is a command." I ran back to the village, my heart pounding in my chest. When I returned with help, Ada was lying by the edge of the forest, unconscious. She was breathing, but she never woke up again. The village elders said the spirits had taken her soul as punishment for her disobedience. We buried Ada the next day. Her mother wept, regretting not being stricter with her. From that day on, no one in our village ever went to the forest at night again. Life in the village changed after that night. The old stories were no longer just tales to scare children. They were taken seriously. Parents reminded their children daily about the importance of obedience. The forest became a place of fear and respect. People would only go near it during the day, and even then, only if necessary. The village elders performed rituals to appease the spirits, hoping to protect the rest of us from their wrath. The air around the forest seemed to buzz with a new, unseen energy, as if it was watching, waiting for someone else to break the rules. As for me, the memory of that night stayed with me. I could still hear Ada's laughter turning into screams, still see the old woman's glowing eyes. I learned that the old stories are not just tales to scare children. They are warnings, and we ignore them at our own risk. Ada's fate is a reminder that some rules are there for a reason. Obedience is not just about following orders. It's about respecting the forces we don't understand.